Evolutionary psychologist Jeffrey Miller researches how sexual selection influences humankind's levels of intelligence.
The funny thing about sexual selection is it's a very powerful evolutionary process, but it's not blind, dumb, natural selection. It's driven by our tastes, our pleasure, what we find attractive psychologically and physically about other people.
Hundreds of thousands of years ago, humans started selecting partners who were more intelligent. As a result, intelligence began to grow in our species.
We don't just grow brain for survival, we grow brain to attract other brains as mates.
The evidence that our brain evolved by sexual selection comes from something biologists call the handicap principle. The peacock's tail is the classic example. Such a large, colorful tail takes energy to grow, resources that could otherwise be put to survival. It's a handicap, and so only birds with the best genes can carry the biggest, most glamorous tails. Like a peacock's tail, a bigger brain carries a handicap because it uses a disproportionate amount of the body's energy. It consumes about 20% of the oxygen we breathe, about 25% of our calories, and about 40% of our glucose.
It's a kind of costly, conspicuous, wasteful organ. And in that sense, I think of it as kind of being like a luxury good. And often we're using it for things that aren't that directly related to survival. We're talking. We're trying to achieve status. We're trying to impress people.
Miller argues that human intelligence and our creativity are the result of our long history of sexual selection. Our creative imagination that has produced the rich variety of language, music, art, and science we see today was forged hundreds of thousands of years ago by our ancestors choosing more intelligent, witty, and entertaining partners. And when we choose a partner, the choice we make will shape the creativity of future generations.
Intelligence helps to show that you've got good genes, because there again, any kind of mutations that tend to reduce brain efficiency tend to reduce intelligence.
You know? But it's not just intelligence that seems to attract us. It's creative thought. A recent report from the Royal Society of Biological Sciences found that many artists and poets have twice as many sexual partners as non-creative people. The study backs up Miller's theory that artists like Picasso are more sexually attractive because of their creativity. But there is yet another trait that comes out on top as Miller's #1 tip for winning them over.
Top two traits most desired across cultures are intelligence and kindness. In fact, kindness even comes out a little bit higher than intelligence.
Being kind has obvious attractions. A kind person will make a good partner and will probably be a caring parent. But there's a more scientific reason for choosing someone with moral virtue. It's an indicator of good genes.
Moral virtue is costly, it's difficult. Almost anything that messes up your body or your brain, mutations, brain damage, brain injury, tends to make people more selfish and less kind.
What's more, unlike physical appearance, this type of attractiveness is harder to fake.
It's fairly easy to get your body looking pretty good. A 40-year-old now can look as youthful and healthy as a 22-year-old a century ago. To some extent, it's harder to fake the intelligence and moral virtues like kindness that are sexually attractive. That's what's fascinating about the way that we evaluate potential mates, is we just automatically focus on the unfakeable indicators of intelligence and kindness.
Over the course of a few dates, this couple engineered ways to show off their genetic gifts to each other. Some displays are more subtle than others. Yet neither of them has a clue about what's really going on in their heads. They say when you fall in love, your eyes light up, but so do parts of your brain. And some scientists are now busy exploring the neurochemical fireworks display that explodes in our heads when animal sexual attraction transforms into love. What are the secrets of sexual attraction? The reasons why we think someone's hot. Science has established that evolutionary cues kickstart the body into lustful behavior. We are turned on by body shape, symmetry, and intelligence. We are drawn to someone and hope they respond to our advances. But we don't just mate with anyone. Usually our brain makes us focus our attention on just one individual. What fuels this passion for one person is the second of anthropologist Helen Fisher's 3 mating drives: romantic love. That feeling of ecstasy so potent, it should carry a warning from the Surgeon General.
Love has always been the preserve of poets and songwriters and novelists. But I came some time ago to realize that this is one of the most powerful human feelings on earth.
Romantic love is not a fanciful notion. It's scientifically measurable, the result of nature's biological alchemy. Social psychologist Art Aaron and anthropologist Helen Fisher joined forces in a unique scientific study. Their mission? To explore the chemistry of love, to map the hormones of desire within the architecture of the brain. Fisher believes that romantic love is the second stage of sexual attraction, moving the relationship to something deeper. If you've ever been in love, you know what an overpowering emotion it can be.
You feel elation, euphoria, mood swings. You're very dependent on the person. You focus your attention on them. You're highly motivated to win them. You crave the person. You become obsessed with thinking about them.
Fisher and Aaron are eager to discover if these feelings of romantic love are different from the feelings of sexual arousal. To find out, they analyze their fMRI data, showing blood flow through the brains of students who are self-confessedly deeply in love. They discover that a region of the brain, known as the caudate nucleus, appears to be activated when a person falls in love. The caudate is part of the brain's complex reward system. It appears that being in love affects the brain in much the same way as using certain illegal stimulant drugs.
The response we see in the brain when a person looks at their beloved, who is intensely, passionately in love with them, is very much like the response to having cocaine.
The brain areas concerned have a high concentration of receptors for the hormone dopamine. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter that is involved in the control of fine motor coordination, motivation, physical energy, short-term memory, and emotions such as sexual desire.
Dopamine is one of the body's primary feel-good chemicals.
Elevated levels of dopamine produce extremely focused attention and unwavering motivation, the very characteristics of romantic love.
It's what we call a reward response, a dopamine system response. Human beings seem to be wired to have a particular response to very intense reward. And one of the great examples is falling in love and having it reciprocated.
Heightened dopamine levels explain why love-stricken men and women become so dependent on the relationship and why they crave to be with their partner. For Fisher, this desire to focus on just one individual makes perfect evolutionary sense.
His brain system evolved to become triggered, and so that you could have an incredible amount of energy, focus your attention on somebody, be highly motivated to win them, and stay together at least long enough to conceive a child.
The somewhat unromantic truth is that romantic love is born out of the evolutionary success of couples wanting enough sex with each other to get the female pregnant. The chemicals flooding our brain during the early stages of love are so powerful that it's little wonder that love is frequently compared to an addiction. And just like the craving for illicit drugs, love can make people do crazy, sometimes dangerous things.
And it's more powerful than the sex drive. I mean, if you ask somebody to go to bed with you and they reject you, you don't kill yourself. People kill themselves or kill somebody else if they are rejected in love.
Romantic love remains a universal experience, deeply woven into the fabric of the human brain.
Everywhere in the world, people live for love, die for love, sing for love, dance for love, are happy in love.
But Fisher doesn't think that dopamine-fueled romantic love on its own can keep couples together for long.
That was, to me,
romantic love is very metabolically expensive. I mean, you walk all night, you talk till dawn, you make love to the person till noon. It would be very unadaptive for the human animal to be going constantly in this state of high energy.
Our success as a species depends on men and women sticking together long enough to raise their young. To try and make sure this happens, our bodies bombard our brains with yet more sexual hormones. A chemical arsenal that keeps us together long after the fire of romantic love has finally flickered out. Naked Science next asks one of the most provocative questions in evolutionary science. Can we be faithful to one partner, or are we biologically predestined to cheat? A study of nature's secret weapons of love shows how we are genetically programmed to instantly react to the possibilities of a lustful sexual adventure, and how our brains feed us a heady brew of powerful drugs to induce the ecstasy of falling in love. But once we've chosen our mate and fallen in love, can we stay together? Or are humans biologically programmed to cheat? 97% of all mammals are not monogamous. So how can we stay together in the face of so many options? John Gonzaga is a psychologist at UCLA in Southern California. Gonzaga's studies show that true love really can bind people together in a monogamous relationship.
I think that evolution has given us the capacity to be committed, but it's complicated because it's not just we either are a species that commits or a species that philanders. We're a species that has the ability to do both because we react to the environment that we're in.
He has conducted a groundbreaking study to discover how humans stick with their partners rather than go off with any number of attractive alternatives.
So we wanted to directly test whether or not love, rather than other states like desire, is going to help you push thoughts of attractive alternatives out of your mind.
Gonzaga tests college students who are in a relationship. He asks them to choose a picture of someone they find very attractive. Then he asks them to write an essay while thinking of their own partner in a lustful way. They are instructed that each time they think of the person in the picture, they should put a check in the margin. He then asks the students to write another essay, this time thinking of their own partner in a loving way. Again, they put a check in the margin each time they think of the person in the picture. This time, there are far fewer checks. The students don't feel any lasting attraction to the people in the pictures, and they quickly forget about them.
In the love condition, people could push the thoughts out of their mind and they wouldn't get this flood of thoughts of attractive alternatives.
What this shows is that true love does seem to bind us together. Real love, that is. But it's in a constant battle with the emotion of lust or desire.
Desire is a tricky thing because some of the evidence that we have shows that desire, even when it's pointed towards your romantic partner, can make you less committed to them. So part of its function may be search in the environment for the most attractive alternative that is out there. If there's somebody who's more attractive out there, that may bode poorly for your current relationship.
So if the relationship is built on love, we are more likely to stick together. If built on desire, then we are more likely to want to have sex with an attractive other. It appears that love has evolved to keep us together, while lust is there for us to choose the fittest genes.
So it looks like love, but not desire, is the thing that helps you get rid of this problem in committing attractive alternatives and helps you solidify a commitment to your romantic partner.
It all fits in with Helen Fisher's belief that the third stage of sexual attraction is long-term attachment.
Attachment is a sense of calm and security that you can feel with a long-term partner.
Love, it would appear, does conquer all. But how does it do it? The answer is that the body has a natural love potion, ready to stick you and your partner together like glue. And it comes into play when a couple has sex. This chemical is called oxytocin, a hormone and neurotransmitter produced in the brain. It was once believed to confine its effects to inducing labor in pregnant women and stimulating mothers to produce milk. But now, scientists are discovering other far-reaching effects on both women and men. Oxytocin acts as a sexual arousal hormone that signals orgasm and prompts cuddling between lovers before, during, and after intercourse. Hence its other name, the cuddling chemical.
This is why when you make love to somebody who you really do like or love, you can feel a sense of cosmic union with them. That's probably because you've elevated levels of oxytocin, creating this sense of attachment.
It may also serve to strengthen the bond between lovers. The theory goes that the more sex a couple has with each other, the more oxytocin is released, and the deeper their bond becomes.
This is why it's a little dangerous to go copulate with somebody you don't really like. In fact, I recommend to my various students, don't copulate with somebody who you don't want to fall in love with, because you might just trigger these brain systems. It is playing with fire.
But nature isn't finished yet. There is one last important drug in the pharmacy of love. Vasopressin. Released during sex, it has a critical role in the long-term commitment stage. A role discovered when scientists explored the mating habits of the prairie vole. Prairie voles are among the mere 3% of mammals that mate for life. Vasopressin is released when the prairie vole mates, just as in humans. The prairie vole has receptors in its brain for vasopressin in the regions responsible for reward. Mating stimulates its brain's reward center and forms a pleasurable memory of that particular mate, and so forms a bond. Scientists argue the reward mechanism involved in this addiction may well have evolved in a similar way in other monogamous animals, humans included. It could be that, like desire and romantic love, forming a lasting, loving relationship is simply a matter of chemistry. Sexual attraction exhilarates and motivates us. The chemicals that flood our brain, our very physiology, all serve one purpose: the continuation of our species. Once we have children, these chemicals alter to encourage us to stay together and raise them. Love is just a part of it. Sexiness, desire, call it what you will. It's distilled from an intoxicating hormonal mix designed to encourage human reproduction. A chemical cocktail that really does make the world go round.